Hi, my name is Sean Prentiss. I'm a professor at Norwich University, and I'm the author of Finding Abbey, The Search for Edward Abbey and His Hidden Desert Grave. And I want to talk to you about place, about where we're from and where our characters are from, and why it matters in creative writing. And what I want to talk about first is the problem. And the problem for me is so often we write about characters interacting with each other, bumping into each other, falling in love, falling out of love, getting into danger, but we don't think about where it occurs. And my thought is that place shapes us as much as it shapes, as much as our family shapes us. So place is as much a character in our stories, at least in the best stories, as the other people are. We can't just have place as a static thing behind us. It's got to be something that interacts with us. There's a famous writer, Luis Alberto Urrea, and he has a famous quote that says, "Place isn't a setting. Place is an elder in the family. We are not describing landscapes. We are writing biographies." And what I love about that is its place is not a setting. It's not where something occurs, but place is something that teaches us like an elder would teach us. It influences us. It defines us. And I want to think about my own hometown of Bangor, Pennsylvania. Bangor is not located near any highway, so people do not go by it accidentally. You have to try to get to Bangor, and not many people do. We're an old slate mining town. We're a farming community. We sometimes make cement as well, but the slate industry is gone. Our farming is getting turned into housing. Um, but we're still a rough town. Our median income per capita is $26,000, which means that the average person earns $26,000 a year, which is pretty darn low. Those old slate quarries that we used to mine, my friends and I, and now the kids today, jump off of the cliffs and dive into. It's also beautiful. The Delaware River runs through there. We're right near the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. We're also right near a proposed a long time ago nuclear reactor, which luckily never got built. But all of this created who I am in positives and in negatives. And I want to think about how we can see place so that we can write it on the page in more complex ways. One of the first ways is to think about, are we insiders or outsiders? What does our character know? So an insider is going to know the stories of an area, the unknown places, the back roads. They're going to know the relationship between people and the place, but also people within that place. Where do people go to do this or that or the other thing? They're going to be used to these views. So I'm used to those back roads of Bangor. They see it through old eyes, through storied eyes, and it feels routine. Where the outsider, the person who comes to Bangor for the first time, is not going to know any of these stories. They're not going to know those secret places. They're not going to know those connections and relationships. They're going to look at everything new and with wonder or with horror at what we have done to us. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at place as complex is to ask it a whole bunch of questions. Do you know your place's population? And this could be your place or your character's place. What makes that place economically viable? What does the landscape look like today versus before? Bangor used to be a mining town. Now it's not so, but we still have those empty quarries, but now they're filled up like pools. What are its most striking physical features? For me, it's the rolling hills, the dark green, the back roads, the farm fields. How does the climate affect the people? What is its geology? How did it evolve geologically, politically, economically? What are its major sounds and smells? What do the neighboring towns look like and how do they influence? What are the politics of the area? Who lived there before these people that we're talking about? What's the median income? What's the racial makeup? And on and on and on. Another way we can look at it is sociological versus psychological. Sociological is how a group thinks. Psychological is how an individual thinks. So we can look at Bangor and see, what does Bangor create sociologically? And for me, it's well, for us, it seems to be a hardworking town. We were built as slate miners. Again, we are farmers. So we have that blue collar ethos. We have power plants making electricity. We have cement plants. We have paint and pharmaceutical plants. So it's all based around that blue collar work. Psychologically, Bangor was a little bit different for me. I grew up with that blue collar ethos through my family, but also especially through my friends. Many of my relatives worked in those factories. Many of my friends did. My family, my immediate family, never did not. We believed in a good education, and every one of my siblings was really focused on their education. We also really focused more on the Delaware River than the downtown. So sociologically, we have one view as a community of Bangor. Psychologically, I have a slightly different view of Bangor, as does everyone. We could also look at it anthropologically. How have our ancestors lived here? What have they done? How have they affected the landscape? And same with your characters. How did they live here and what have they done? And how have they been affected by the people who came before them? So ways to learn about place. One, if it's a physical, real place and not an invented place, go there, walk through there, check it out. If you can't go through there, if you cannot do that, look at visual and written artifacts. So look at books, magazines, photos, Google Earth, do all of those things. If you grew up in this place or visit this place a lot, go there in your memories, think about it, experience it in the stories that you had. And then all of those things can help us develop place more on the page. So what I want you to think about is not just your characters, not just what they're doing, but about how place influences those characters, how place creates those characters as much as their own families. When we do that, our pieces are going to really come alive on the page in ways that they did not before. So never forget to write about place. Place is vital. Thanks again for listening to me. My name is Sean Prentiss. I'm a professor at Norwich University, and I'm the author of Finding Abbey, The Search for Edward Abbey and His Hidden Desert Grave. Thanks so much.